All right. Compliance with the Open Public Meetings Law, I wish to state that on July the 5th, 2013, the notice of this meeting in the Upper Township Committee was posted on the official Township Bulletin Board, mailed to the Cape May County Gazette, the Atlantic City Press, the Ocean City Sentinel-Ledger, the Herald Times, and filed with the Township Clerk. Tonight's meeting is being video recorded and will be available on UTTV Channel 2 and on the Upper Township website. I hereby direct that this announcement made a part of the minutes of this meeting. I would ask all to rise for the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Barbara, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr? Here. Mr. Corson?
Present.
Mr. Insera?
Here.
Mr. Newman?
Here.
Mayor Palumbo?
Here.
All members are present.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion approval of the minutes, both regular and closed session?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the June 24th regular meeting and closed session. Second.
Is there any corrections, deletions, omissions that anyone's aware of? Okay, hearing none, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Barbara, do you have anything for us this evening?
I just have one item. I just want to remind everyone that Upper Township will be sponsoring a Red Cross blood drive on July 10th at the Upper Township Community Center from 2 to 7. And if anyone would like to register in advance for that, they can contact the Upper Township Tax Assessor's Office
Okay.
for that. And that's all I have this evening.
Thank you. Daniel?
Nothing at this time, but we do have a handful of closed session matters. We have a contract negotiation and 2 litigation matters.
Okay. Paul?
Thank you. I just wanted to report on a couple items. First, that the governor conditionally vetoed a bill where they were going to extend the non-residential development fee to have that waived for all non-residential or commercial development, but with that conditional veto, as of July 1st, municipalities that have non-residential development fees within their ordinances must now start collecting that again. So beginning this month, we will be collecting the commercial development fee on those properties, and we already are doing it on residential properties. The next item, I'd like to request that for the next meeting, we did a project in the spring to put up dune fence. We had FEMA project worksheets for dune grass and for additional fencing, but we only traditionally plant grass in the fall time. So I'd like to request that we go out to bid for a fall dune grass planting and some additional fencing in areas where we could not fence because of the nesting birds. So I'd like to have that for a resolution next meeting.
And we have the FEMA money available.
We have the money available both from the FEMA reimbursement end of it as well as in the capital improvement fund.
Okay.
Need a motion for that? Or?
This direction that be placed on an agenda.
Yeah,
correct?
and we can vote on that motion
Yes.
with a resolution at the next meeting.
And then the next item, last meeting I discussed with the committee about putting on replacement of several street signs and regulatory signs and have them replaced. And we discussed at that time to have them purchased through the 2013 multi-purpose bond under the road paving section. However, after discussion with Barb and the auditor, we felt that it would be better, because of our paving project list is a small subset of all our streets, and the signs are accompanying all of the streets in the township, that it'd be better to take that out of the capital improvement fund as opposed to the bond. And again, that was, I think, a little over about $20,000, just under $20,000. So I just wanted, I didn't want to bring that resolution back to you without discussing.
Does that have to go out to bid if it's $20,000?
It's under the bid threshold, so we have quotes. We have quotes from four vendors.
You would just have to authorize spending the money through the capital improvement fund.
And that would be a resolution for a future meeting as well.
Okay.
And there's sufficient money there.
Yes, yes. And that's all I had this evening.
How did the FEMA meeting go today?
It was a pretty good session today. It's for another 3 days. We're discussing and learning about the new CRS, the Community Rating System program, and how, if you remember last year, we were trying to get some modifications done before the new manual came in. But this is training to get us up to speed on all the different programs for the new manual. And one of the biggest changes is how they do public information and how they're wanting to get the not just the local government, but community members that live in the special flood hazard area involved in some of the decision making and how is best to communicate to people in the flood hazard area of the different hazards that are out there. So that's probably the biggest change that we've seen so far.
Okay, good. Barbara?
Just have one item this evening. Have a request from our deputy tax assessor to attend a conference in Cape May for 2 days, August 28th and 29th, a Wednesday and a Thursday, at a total cost of $420. So
Is that the registration cost?
that's the registration cost for 2 days, yes. So
And meeting back and forth.
that's correct, no overnight stay.
Okay, and that's to continue her education that's required by the state?
She will receive her continuing ed units for attending this conference.
Okay, I'll make that motion then that she be approved to go to that conference.
Second.
Any discussion? Let's call the roll, please.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Jay?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of items tonight. All of you, sure got an email from the gentleman on at Route 9 and Sea Sounds Avenue. Mr. Adams, yes. Yeah, concerning that multiple accidents we've had. And actually, we've had multiple accidents from in that whole curve area as well as the area up by where Smith Jewelry used to be and Brown Insurances and Heritage and the golf course. I'm actually going to sit down with the New Jersey DOT, the state police rep from New Jersey DOT tomorrow, because I saw him on the scene of that accident the other day, and we'll discuss different ways we can do that, as well as having our engineer take a look at some improvements that can be made safety-wise in that corner. And I would recommend that we anything that we do, obviously, or anything that we come up with, we probably forward this township committee letters to our legislatures and the like. And that's a pretty difficult thing to fix because of the location of the road. The road is just bad. It's just multiple curves, multiple blind stuff. It's just not a good area.
Well, one of the requests were from that gentleman, because I responded as well, was are we able to put up signage making people aware of a curve there? No. Or because it's a state highway, they would have to prove it?
The state highway would be responsible.
So
we can write a letter to the state
highway?
Well,
I would rather us do a resolution.
Yes.
And say that, because of the extensive amount of accidents that have occurred at that area, that, based on that, and based on some sort of at least signage and some sort of warning as to what's coming around the bend, a resolution I think would have more teeth to it.
Well, I don't want to doom and gloom this, and I'm in favor of doing something that is going to be a slow, tedious process.
I understand that, but...
The traffic light over the course of the 50 after people were killed there and everything else, so...
I agree, but the reality is it doesn't mean we shouldn't address these issues. And a resolution, we've actually gotten a significant amount of things taken care of in the past 2 years, even though it's taken a long time to get there. Some of the more recent things that we've requested, like double lines, no passing zones, and those kind of things have actually moved rather quickly. So, it may well be that we're getting a better response from DOT, and I would suggest that we do a resolution at the next meeting, in support of, additional signage and certainly something that the NJDOT do some kind of transportation study or road study, whatever you want to call it, on that area.
Wait, so I can report back, we're going to have to wait until the next meeting, but I'm going to report back to Paul or to everybody here after I meet with them tomorrow.
That's fine.
See where we're at, so we might add a keyword or something that get moving. Additionally, I think that we looked at, I think we've looked at this at one time. I think it's been a couple of years. Maybe we want to ask Clark to look and see if we haven't done something about it before. I know that I've been in contact with the schools over transportation issues in those corners. They do not pick kids up on Route 9, from about 18 Boulevard all the way to Ocean Avenue. They dive into the neighborhoods to pick them up because of that reason. So that we might want to take a look and see if we have a prior resolution to add to that. That's all for that portion of it.
Well, the rest of it has been, they've done nothing, so we should have
That's
another one.
right. Either way we'll do it, but also goes back, if we do another resolution, we go, well, we can refer back to resolution number.
Right, it's the same one.
Yeah, same one. How can we go through that? So that's there. In my opinion, there's a multitude of factors that include that, including curb and condition of the roof. Any kind of signage or improvement would help. I also have Paul, and I'm sure Tony will bring it up as well, because he rides over it every time he comes to town hall, is the church road and right before the railroad tracks, there's another big pond.
Okay.
Right before the railroad tracks.
Actually, it's one at Stagecoach and Hook Corson, right down on the right.
Hook Corson is,
That was fixed, I think.
Yeah, the one on Church was fixed, the one on Hook Corson was still there.
and Hook Corson is just bad from
No, I know, there's one right there, maybe.
9. Take a look at that. Also, while we're on the subject of Hook Corson, can we reach out and find out where that project is? I know that it's been designed, budgeted.
My understanding is he's submitted for the CAFR permits for the drainage upgrades, and I think he's waiting for the CAFR permit to come back.
So once again, we're waiting on the state of New Jersey to issue some permits that are needed for emergency repair.
Yes. Yes.
For a road that's.
So there is plans for the county to repave that entire stretch.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's been approved, it's just a matter of getting to, the funds are there, it's been approved, and actually, I think it might start this year, or whatever next year, it'll be starting that.
Well, as soon as they get those CAFR permits, I know they had an issue with the drainage and we're able to pump the water at one time.
Correct.
So I should say no. Sounds like it's-
We're working with them, and they're actually going to be putting the drainage down Stagecoach to Island View Terrace,
Okay.
to that basin.
Okay, so that is moving forward.
Yes, it is.
As fast as they possibly can. Like Tony said, I think that has been approved at the county level, budget-wise, and the design's all there, everything's there, and we're just waiting on CAFR permit.
Yes.
Okay. A report on fireworks. We did had a very successful fireworks night. Weather was great. It was crystal clear. Just enough breeze to keep most of the bugs down. We had a pretty good crowd. I think it's probably better than last year, I think. But we also had, I don't know of any parking issues on Route 50. I didn't see many. I took a couple rides to make sure there was parking there, and it all worked out pretty well. I did not count the fireworks with shells. I lost count after like 10, so we got away with that. But it was a pretty good show, and the park did empty out pretty quickly afterwards. Everybody worked well together, and it worked out pretty good. So. I also have one of our recent new hires has decided not to, for Division of EMS, has decided not to, or has not gone through with any of the pre-hire paperwork. So I would like to put somebody else on a part-time basis, and that would be Keely Barrett, Township resident, volunteer, all 9 yards. And I'd like to make that before the motion, part-time employee Keely Barrett.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Mr. call the roll, please.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Ansara?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Nothing further, Mayor.
Thank you. Curtis?
At this time, Mr. Mayor, I have nothing.
Okay.
Sure, I'll have something.
Okay. Tony?
Nothing this time, just reiterating the fact that everyone on the fact that's going on, we should keep moving on it. We still have this door, a lot of destruction.
Okay. Edward?
Happy to report, it looks like Strathmere had another successful 4th of July parade, which I was accompanied by Deputy Mayor Corson and Tony over here. So I think everybody had a good time, and especially at the Dewville, there was a large turnout there, and a lot of prizes given out, and it seems like it just keeps getting larger and larger every year. So.
I thought there were a lot of people there.
Yeah.
More than I remember.
It's a nice turnout.
The whole weekend was very, very busy.
And one other thing, Paul, it was brought to my attention by the ramp employees. Is there did we used to have a roped off section that went from the dock all the way around to keep jet skis out from the bathing area?
Yes. I
Yes,
recall that.
the beach patrol puts that rope up,
Okay.
not from the dock, it's in, I'd say not quite halfway down or 2/3 out from the beach on the fixed pier, and then there's several piling that it goes out and around, but they designate that location.
Okay, if you could just check to see, because they brought it to my attention that it's not out there this year.
And I should bring up, Mayor, if I can go back to, again, over the weekend, just in general, it brought up that probably the traffic was heavier than I've seen it in a long time. Friday, it was probably the worst I've seen it in 4, 5, 6 years, backed up past Dolores Avenue sometimes on Route 9. And how far we were heading into Ocean City. And it did the same thing on Saturday. And minimal impact with regard to, we had a couple accidents, but they were all minor. And other than that, I think it was a pretty relatively quiet weekend for as many people as down. Chief, you recall anything? Maybe different went on out there. No. Sorry about that. Thank you. I'm used to going last. It's new order.
And then just to add to what Jay just commented, I mean, that's the northern end of Route 9. Also at the southern end, down in our neighborhood, Seahawk Causeway, forget about it. I mean, to get past Seahawk Causeway, down off of Caution Tavern Road or off of Route 9, I mean, it's nothing but congestion. So it goes to show that there's even more of a need for us to have full interchange there in 50.
Let's hope that we have success in that in the near future.
We're getting to one side, the north one of it, it's not going to be going on.
Well, it's in the plans, but nothing's supposed to be done until after they complete their overpass and the elimination of the 3 lights on the parkway. So, okay, I only have a few things. One, this past week, we had the good fortune of accepting a deuce-and-a-half truck to be used by our OEM program here at the Township. It was supplied to us, and it was through a joint effort with the county OEM. The county has been able to obtain, I think they said 14 of these deuce-and-a-half trucks. They plan on having every municipality potentially have one of the trucks. We were the first to receive it, partly because we've worked with the county, especially during Hurricane Sandy as an evacuation area. We had some issues with respect to facilitating evacuation for some stranded residents in Strathmere. There is a really high likelihood that we might get a second truck, as per Mayor Palugi, who is also the county OEM coordinator. And, so if that happens, then we'll probably incorporate a plan where in the event of, major storm or potential for evacuation, we'll be able to stage a truck both in Strathmere and in the mainland, to be used for emergency purposes. So we accepted it today. Well, actually, it came on Friday at no cost to the township. So it's a great piece of equipment that we certainly will utilize and incorporate into our program that we have continued to expand, starting with, post-Katrina and then post-Hurricane Irene, and then now certainly post-Hurricane Sandy as well. So that's good news. The other thing is this is probably the last request for lifeguards. We've had some shuffling back and forth. We had a few guards jump to some other cities to serve on their lifeguards. We've also had some individuals that, for whatever reason, with college internships and stuff, had to cut some things short. So there are really 3 individuals. One is Bruckner Chase, who is a new lifeguard hire, and then there's a suggestion that we hire 2 returning guards that have in the past filled in for us at the end of the season in August, just to cover us when we have people going back to school so we can get through to Labor Day. So that would be Joe LaRosa Jr. and Mike DeSalis. So I'd like to make that in the form of a motion that these 3 individuals be hired as well. And again, this isn't additional to our existing staff. This is just to supplement the staff that we have so that we have a full staff going for the rest of the summer.
Second motion.
Any discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
That's all I have, so we'll move forward with the resolutions.
Okay. Item number 1, appointing the 2013 season beach patrol personnel.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 2, appointing Judith May and Matthew Capone as part-time employees to the Upper Township Division of Emergency Medical Services.
All resolution.
Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 3, appointing Kevin Day as a part-time seasonal employee to the Upper Township Public Works Department.
Resolution. Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm out of order here. Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 4, authorizing a 1-year extension of the contract with Cape Professional Billing for emergency medical billing services.
I'll move the resolution.
Second. And just for the public's edification, this has been a professional group that we've contracted with to help us with the billing with our EMT program and picking people up with the ambulances. They bill the insurances that individuals have to help facilitate that for us. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 5, resolution renewing campground licenses.
Please let the record indicate how many that came in.
Okay.
On the resolution. Second.
And this is for Oak Ridge Resort Condo Plantation Campground, Bayberry Cove Resort, Seaville Shores Trailer Resort, Shady Oaks Echo Farms Campground, Ocean Sands Resort, Whippoorwill Campground, Frontier Campground, Scenic Review Campground, and Shorebirds Campground. Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson abstains. Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried with 4 voting in favor and Mr. Corson abstaining. Item number 6, in support of the Field EMS Quality, Innovation, and Cost Effectiveness Improvements Act.
I'll move the resolution.
Second.
And this is something that was brought to us by Chief Potter a couple of weeks ago and reviewed by Mr. Young. And this resolution is going to, I guess, be sent to Congress.
Our congressmen and federal senators.
It's a federal bill that they're attempting to have passed in support of EMS operations.
Okay. Any other discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Ansara?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 7, authorizing the mayor to sign an escrow agreement for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Move the resolution. Second.
Anybody want any explanation on this?
This is something we've done in the past. It's in order to facilitate the processing of the housing funds. It's required. I believe it's because we're switching banks is the main reason that we're doing a new agreement. It's essentially the same agreement that the township has executed in the past.
Okay. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Ansara?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 8, public hearing and final adoption of ordinance number 9, 2013, an ordinance vacating a portion of Jasper Avenue between Commonwealth Avenue and Bayview Drive within the Township of Upper, County of Cape May, in the state of New Jersey.
Okay, before I open up to the public, if there's any public comment, any other comments from the Township Committee? Okay, hearing none. At this time, I'll open up for a public hearing of this ordinance, and if there's anyone in the public that would like to address the ordinance vacating a portion of Jasper Avenue between Commonwealth and Bayview Drive, now's the time to do so. Okay, hearing silence.
Mr. Mayor, I abstained from this when we introduced it because it is with competitor campgrounds. So I'm going to abstain. I should have abstained on this. I said nothing.
Okay. All right, so again, we'll close the public portion. Mr. Corson has made his motion to abstain, so at this point, would someone like to make a motion to adopt?
I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 9 of 2013. There'll be no public comment.
Second.
Okay. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson abstains. Mr. Ansara?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 4 in favor and Mr. Corson abstaining. Item number 9, 2013 or newer refuse collection vehicles and refuse containers for Upper Township bid opening results.
What are we doing this now?
Well, this is going to, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to have a discussion on this. We're not making any formal motions because we'll have a resolution at the next meeting.
Yes, to direct the clerk in our office to provide the resolution accepting whatever bids you want for a future meeting, perhaps the next meeting. Paul's reporting on it and making recommendations. I think he's giving you a memo on it.
Okay, so, Paul, your recommendations for the 2 automated trucks, I suppose that's the one arm, and then the one is the H.A. DeHart and Son that came in, which is pretty unusual. I would think that three companies bid on this, and the difference between the 3 of them is all of like $19,000. The low bid came in at $502,974. Bergey's trucks came in at $507,872, and Grand Truck Equipment came in at $520,280. Now there are some exceptions or something that were pointed out to us. Well, what do we need to know about that?
I agree. All the bids, both for the trucks and the containers, were very close in competitive bid pricing that we received. For bid item number 1, there were some deviations. I explained most of them. A lot of them deal with when you have a difference in manufacturer from one manufacturer to another. There's small little differences between, I'll say, the size of a hydraulic cylinder or the size of an oil tank, just based on a capacity, based on how their system works compared to the others, but not really a material difference in the workings of the truck. And the truck that was recommended was one of the trucks that we reviewed and considered as an equal to one of the other trucks.
The purchasing office and I and Paul went over these exceptions, and all of them were deemed to be non-material. In fact, I think the two lowest bidders had exceptions that they indicated. So frankly, you're required to take the lowest responsible bidder, so I'm not sure you have much leeway unless you want to make a determination that the exceptions that were indicated in the memo are material and you don't want to waive them. But Paul's recommendation is that they're non-material, and I agree that they could be construed as such.
I mean, it includes, once it's suspension, I mean, obviously there's an $18,000 difference. No, I got to believe they're building a $502,000 truck, and it's going to have some kind of suspension on it.
There were two different types. I'll defer to Paul to explain.
The discrepancy with the suspension, in the first line of the bid, we called out the Hendrickson Hallmax suspension, which is an upgraded, heavier duty suspension. It's going to give a better ride and longer life to the service of the truck. There were some items after that where we called out the manufacturer specific of the type of suspension that is not necessarily in the part list of the Hendrickson Hallmax suspension, but of the, I'll say, the standard suspension that is provided on the truck. So the bidder, kind of described it, said, hey, we'll provide the standard, but if you meant to provide the better one, here's what that price is, and kind of gave us that breakdown within the bid price. When we looked at
it appeared to me as an option to have what you spec'd out at an additional price, and my understanding is you factored in there's still a low bidder even with that extra option added on.
Right. When you look at the bid summary, that bid summary includes the price for the suspension that we requested.
Was it a better suspension? What's the longevity on that?
It's not the longevity of the suspension. It's going to provide better performance and longevity of the truck and the tires on the vehicle.
Well, the bid that was just above the one that you're suggesting wasn't substantially that much. I mean, did that have the suspension that you were looking for?
It did, but however, the body, the automated arm, was not we did not do a full review or review that arm.
Let's not get sidetracked. So you understand, Paul, the suspension that the township wanted is in the low bid. He just had to add it as an option at an additional price, which still makes it the low bid.
Well, how much is I'm sorry, but how much is the suspension?
$1,600 for each truck.
Each truck.
So that's $3,200.
And when you add, it's already incorporated into your chart.
Price.
So it's still the lowest bid with the suspension that we're talking about. We're not listing it as an exception. We're getting that suspension.
Okay.
What about the hydraulic? You mentioned hydraulic, one versus the other. Which one is better? They were listed?
I just listed that as an example of the types of exceptions that are in there. It's a matter of one manufacturer, for their hydraulic system to run the body, may require, for what they feel, a reservoir of 70 gallons of hydraulic fluid, where one manufacturer may want a reservoir of 65 gallons.
So the difference between the body of hydraulic fluids and the...
Well, it's really what that manufacturer wants to operate his hydraulic system. And that's what they specified as the components that would operate their body and system the most efficiently and appropriately.
But now there's one piston over the other one. What difference is between one and the other?
The same thing that I just said, that
Just
they've decided that's how they use, that's how...
The pistons are the same. Is that it?
It'll do the job that they've designed it for their body appropriately. Yes.
Right, so for item 1, your recommendation is to go with the one particular, hold on, the HAD Hart. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And again, that is the lowest bidder, and based upon Paul's analysis of the specifications, they meet the specifications, and the only things, the ones that they do not meet are not material.
Okay, so item 1 addresses the 2 trucks that are automated with the one arm that's on the side.
Correct.
So I guess the question is, you want us to do, we're not doing a formal vote on this, you want to get a straw poll to make a
We want
resolution?
direction to put that on an agenda. Does the township committee want to purchase those trucks at that lowest bidder? It's the recommendation of purchasing office and and your engineer that you should.
How much do we anticipate the bond fee to be covered?
$1,000,001, I think, maybe.
For the trucks? For the
For
trucks.
the, I'm sorry, for everything,
Everything.
for the 3 trucks, the 2 automated, the 1 rear loader, and the containers.
But we have money for the 2 trucks, right?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
It's within our budgetary,
That's where I was.
yes.
Okay. So is the Township Committee comfortable with having Dan draw a resolution accepting the low bidder for the 2 automated trucks, and then we'll address the rear end automated truck after this?
All things being equal, that's the lowest bidder, so I think we should go with that.
I mean, the way I look at it, this has been a long process, and it appears that it's going to be another 6-month process because they have up to 190 days to deliver the truck. So I think what we need to do in parallel is to do the resolution for the next meeting, but we also need to start letting folks know that, this is a 6-month delay compared to what I think originally we had anticipated, where I think there's a lot of individuals that were thinking that by fall, we may have this whole trash system in place, but now it appears that we'll probably be more likely like the first of the year.
Correct.
So I would suggest that, okay, well, let's stop, and so it sounds like for number 1, you're going to do the resolution. Okay, and before we address number 2, what I'd like you to do, before I lose my train of thought here, is that let's put something on Channel 2 to start informing folks that because of the bid process and where we are, we anticipate this new trash pickup system to be in place by sometime in the beginning of 2014. Okay? All right, so now let's talk about the second one. And this is the rear loading refuse collection vehicle.
Correct. We had 2 bidders on that, and HAV Hart is also the low bidder on that.
And that's when the dumpster was in the back of the lot?
It'll have a dumpster hoist. It'll also have cart tippers on the truck.
And this is a vehicle that we anticipate, and can we use this in Strathmore, or do we still have to use the old system?
This is the one that would predominantly be used in Strathmere to pick up commercial trash stops and areas like that. Bulk trash collection.
And based on your recommendations, it doesn't appear that, you have as many issues with this one as we did with the other one.
Does this one hold the same capacity, Paul?
No, the automated trucks are a 33 cubic yard truck. The rear loader is a 25 cubic yard truck.
Which is substantially more than what we're holding now.
More than, yeah.
We have, our current trucks are 20 yard trucks.
Okay, so then, if there isn't any other questions about this, is the committee comfortable with having Mr. Young prepare a resolution to move forward with this particular item? And then we'll address the containers. Everybody comfortable with that, to move forward? Okay, so Daniel, you have your task for that one, for the rear end trash truck. Now let's get to the containers. I guess my question is, the thing that, beyond, the bid totals, and the containers came out to, the low bidder was $558,409. And again, there were actually kind of a wider range, because some go as high as $595 and $590. There's a few that are close at $562. But my question is we have 95-gallon containers, you have 10,000 of them. That's the big ones. And you have 60-gallon containers, you have 600. And 35, you have 600. And that is a substantially smaller can. And I guess my question is where did we get those numbers for 600 of each one of those? Do you anticipate that many individuals asking for smaller ones? I mean, I guess what I'm trying to determine here is, will we have excess of smaller or larger containers? Where are we getting these numbers from?
It was based on some of the estimates that we had done based on a survey of the, when we did a trash survey about a year and a half ago, based on how much trash and recycling people were putting out and those size based on some feedback, both from property owners at Osprey Point, Shore Acres, and areas like that.
Yes, I thought that we were giving people a choice of what size they wanted. Now we're taking that out of the equation.
Well, we're going to have to get 30,000 chances to give them a choice.
Let's make it clear, and Paul, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but these are estimates and it's per unit cost, so people are going to be given a choice and then we're going to buy their choice for them by per unit cost. These are just estimates based upon our estimated amounts that we're going to require. That's all going to be determined. So if we end up with, instead of 11,200 cans, we may end up with 10,000 and it will cost us less, or we may end up with
Or we may order...
Or if
15,000
we order more bigger ones, it's going to be more.
yes. But it's a per unit pricing.
Correct.
Right, so that's my first question. So, okay, so we are going to, before we actually go out and purchase these, we're going to see what we need, right?
We will start doing some surveys of, there will be limited areas where we'll be doing some surveys to fine tune that number, but most households are going to receive the 95-gallon containers. They will not have choices.
Now, will they be 5,000 one lid color and 5,000 another lid color?
Yes.
So that we can determine which ones are
Yes.
Recyclable and
Yes.
one's regular trash?
Yes.
One might be the whole can for the year.
Yeah,
Well, no,
okay.
it doesn't have to be a can. I mean, the way a lot of the towns do it, they have the yellow top for recyclables and they have a green top for regular trash.
We're doing the whole,
On a snowy day.
we're doing the whole can.
What is it?
We're doing the whole
cans.
can.
It says recycling trash. It's marked around in front of the cans.
But yes, as you see the numbers there, you're essentially, like for the 35 gallons, it's 300 recycling containers and 300 trash containers. When you look at Osprey Point alone, there's 149 units there. You have at least another 130 or so, or if not more, in Shore Acres. So when you look at just the numbers that are in some of those developments,
Pick up the trash for
we pick it up in a centralized location. However, they've made requests to have individual pickup in comparison to how we do it in other facilities like Osprey Point.
We don't pick up any other stuff, also.
Yeah.
We pick up recycling
Recycling,
in those facilities.
Yes, they don't go door to door.
Correct, but we go door to door at Osprey Point, and to provide similar services for the same type of residents, that's what we should be doing,
In Shore Acres.
if requested.
But why are we doing that in Osprey?
Because,
Because it was requested.
and it was required because of
It's state law.
And when we looked at it,
State law that we have to pick up
That's why we're doing
in
it.
the condo association.
No, I'm saying that. Why are we picking up individual, not one central location?
Because state law required that we pick
Well,
up.
they have to, we negotiate with
provide
them.
the payment for a
Yes.
private contractor. So
The
we
cost of it has to be
do it
provided.
reasonably, and that's why we're doing
I'm
it.
not saying not picking it up. I'm saying why go door to door?
That was a negotiated agreement with Osprey Point when either they wanted us to pay for their pickup or whether we were going to do it. So that's how, there's an agreement in place, I believe, Paul, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
We're picking it up, I understand.
Yeah.
But why go door to door and not
That
have
was-
them go to one location?
That was part of the discussion, because when they were doing it, paying for it themselves, or they were having it contracted themselves and we were reimbursing it, it was by individual unit pickups, door-to-door pickup. And
Paul, listen, man, okay? Don't get angry, don't get upset, okay? I'm trying to understand something here, okay? So don't get upset.
I'm not upset,
Okay.
I'm letting you talk.
If we were doing it before, you picked it up in one location before, okay?
We weren't.
How you were picking it up before?
No,
We weren't.
They were going to one location because
No.
a private contractor, was your private contractor door to door?
Yes.
Okay. So you basically, the same contract or whatever you want to call it, they transfer it up to the township.
Well, it was, we made a determination that we could do it more reasonably to pick it up ourselves.
I
and that's
understand that,
what it was.
I didn't know that it was done door to door by the private contractor. We just doing it, we cut what they were doing, we're doing that. Okay. Yeah, and if we're doing it for them, the other people should be doing the same thing.
Right, so Dan, just so that I'm clear on this, we have a low bidder based on the container size and the amounts.
Yes, and if you look...
So
at-
if we were to do a resolution accepting this, we wouldn't include a dollar amount on this, right? Because isn't that subject to change?
Well, it'll be unit prices in...
So you would do it per trash can, just per receptacle,
It
whatever.
would be based upon the bid specs.
Right. And we would award based on these quantities and these bid amounts, and as we move forward, if we do a survey and we need to adjust those before the final order is placed, we would, if it changed the dollar amounts significantly up and down, we would have to come back and do a change order to adjust those quantities, just as we do on a paving contract where, we estimate a certain amount of paving that's out there, and we're out there paving or doing other work. If the paving gets a little bit longer or thicker.
The specs say unit price is controlled, correct?
Correct.
Right. Now, this is an aside from this. There are individuals that have already requested, can they buy additional cans? And so will they be subject to the same price?
At this point,
meaning they'll buy their own, but...
At this point, we're still evaluating how extra cans are going to be handled. We haven't established that program yet, so we're still working on those aspects of the program.
We should give the opportunity, if they want some, they should be able to buy them. We don't want to just, restrict them to 1, 2 cans. If they want 3, they could have, go for supply, whatever we supply, and they should be able to buy, and that's the one they want to.
Because we only purchased 2 automated trucks, we have to make sure that we can pick up the containers that we need to pick up before we say, hey, you can have 3 containers, and we can't pick up the whole route because everybody's got 3 containers.
Well, Paul, then I got to tell you, right now, people put out the trash that they need to put out.
Right.
And so the reality is if somebody has a large family, 1 container is not going to handle it, I'm telling you, okay? I have a property that has these containers, and 1 container is not going to handle trash for a large family. And so the question is there are a number of, families here that they're going to need 2 cans. And before we get into this whole thing, I want to make sure that, A, they can get more cans, and if we can't handle it, then we're in the wrong direction right now.
Yeah, I agree, we have to do that.
Right now, you're going to have to do that anyway for the commercial stuff.
Well, we're already picking up as much trash as somebody puts out, we're picking up.
Well, with commercial establishments are already handled. Commercial establishments should have no more than 4 30-gallon cans now, according to the ordinance. So for us to go into a commercial establishment, when a commercial establishment is approved, they have a dumpster facility, you're supposed to have a dumpster facility and get rid of their own trash. That's part of being in business. Not to burden the rest of the community with your trash. So we have a trash ordinance in place that handles commercial, and some of these things have to be addressed, and there's some places now that we're doing commercial stops that we have no business doing.
We're not picking up trash, we're picking up recyclables.
We're picking up commercial trash.
No, we should be doing it.
Yes, we do.
And some of them we do. But
You're right, we should be doing it.
But there's some of them that have more than 4 cans out there in the league. And that's the problem. We have no commercial license on, so only campgrounds and liquor stores and mining operations are penalized for operating in the township. So we have no handle on what we have for commercial establishments.
Well,
That's something we should be doing to look at, you're right.
we absolutely, before I want to sign on anything that's going to cost now, well over $600,000 in vehicles, I want to make sure that this is going to be a system that works, where people are starting to get the trash picked up. This is the first I'm hearing that we may limit the trash cans.
I don't either.
Mr. Mayor, can I address you? Probably not, if he's one of his better.
Well,
I'm there on the trash trucks.
well, hold on.
Maybe you should tell me the procedure.
Yeah, you'll have an opportunity to address us in the public portion of the meeting, okay? We'll get your name, your address, and it'll be recorded, because we're not making any formal vote this evening anyway, so. But this is the discussion we need to have.
And we will, but until we...
We will have to have this discussion before we vote on accepting these bids and moving forward.
Well, people will get extra cans. When we have a commercial establishment pick up, if they pick up, they already put out, I don't know what our ordinance says for commercial establishments. 4 cans. So obviously if they need 3 more cans, they're going to have to purchase 3 more cans. If they need the 5th can, they're going to have to get a dumpster and get rid of their own trash.
I'm not even addressing commercial properties. I want to know about residential properties.
I believe if we don't keep our residents cans, we have to give them cans, we're gonna have illegal dumping problem.
And we just haven't evaluated how the process and procedure of how we're going to establish, how we're going to deliver them, at what cost, and how it's all going to be worked out. We haven't come up with that program yet. And
Yeah,
how it's
the
going to
next
work.
question is the unit price, does that include delivery to a household or?
If you look at it, that was an optional price
Okay.
in the bid. They range between, say, $50,000 and $40,000, $42,000 for assembly and delivery of all the containers.
Not pretty.
That's a no-brainer.
Assembled. Why don't we buy them assembled?
They put the leads and the wheels on.
They put the lid and the wheels on, they don't come assembled.
Can people who probably wish to do that?
We've
I'm sure
evaluated
they
it.
would
If you look at this is close to probably over 50 truckloads of containers that we're going to be receiving, and that number of containers to roll them out in a short order, and have them.
The problem is they assemble online, or they're putting them out there because they come stacked one inside each other like Legos. If you assemble the can, then you can only haul one can, you can't stack them anymore. So, that's why they have to be assembled as they go down the road. And they'll probably, I'm taking a guess here, they'll have a tractor trailer, and they'll probably have 2 or 3 people in the back that they don't really care if they fall out the back or not. Assemble them as they're going down the road. Which I gotta believe we won't be able to do that. We'll have to stop at each stop, unload the parts, assemble them on the shoulder of the road, and then put them on the curb.
It's going to be it'll be more cost effective for us to.
Major point.
Right, so, but again, just for my clarification, I want to make sure that part of this whole plan is the opportunity for residents that so desire to purchase additional cans, they can do that.
Yes, but we have to. We're going to be establishing a program for that. Yes.
And we will probably have actually.
You're not totally answering my question, because all I want to know is we going to be able to handle that with the trucks that we're purchasing if people buy additional cans? That's what I'm asking, not, we're going to do this in future. I want to know if we're confident at this point, before we at the next meeting, we go ahead and pass a resolution to accept the bid and move forward. I want to make sure we're ready to do this. And
based on our survey of how many people will really need the additional cans, based on an average of 10 to 15% of our residents needing those, yes, we should be in those tolerance. If every resident wants 2 or 3,
well, I think that is not, that's improbable. But I would venture to say that maybe 30% of the residents may want to purchase an additional
I
can.
think you'll be surprised, it'll probably be less than that.
I think once the program is out there,
We have to make sure that they're going to be able to buy one or two, and we're going to be able to pick it up.
I mean, a 30-gallon can, most of the average home has 2 30-gallon cans. We're going to give them a 90-gallon can, I mean, very...
Not everybody wants a 90-gallon.
Yeah.
People want choice.
well, they're not going to get two smaller cans, they're going to get the larger can.
No,
It should
Paul,
be-
but one of the problems is, we've heard from residents that
And they want to-
are elderly or not able to move a larger can for whatever reason, and so they may request 2 smaller cans.
That's not a large family.
That's not a
Well,
large family.
but that
And they
is
probably need
is
to.
probable. It could happen.
And that's part of the program we're going to have to look at. I mean,
I will say for the most part, in the community that I'm familiar with, people survive with 2 large cans, one for recycle and one, but they do get trash picked up twice a week, okay? And we're still proposing once a week. So that's why I'm anticipating that people are going to probably need an additional can. There'll be more than you think.
This has had to occur in other municipalities, so, and we reached out to some of them, they don't come.
we have
What percentage have the 2 cans?
not a large percentage. I mean, Egg Harbor Township doesn't even allow you to get a second can. So Egg Harbor Township's not a community-run survey. Egg Harbor Township does not allow you to buy a second.
Well, Egg Harbor Township has a $50,000 union pumping fee too. So they strongly discourage illegal dumping. We have a $500 illegal dumping fee, it doesn't seem to be enforced.
All right, I think these questions have been answered substantially. So, Daniel, when you're done with your sidebar there, it sounds to me we'll move forward with a resolution for that as well.
With the low bid.
But with the low bid, or with the price being per unit, not the total.
Well, my understanding is that's what the specs call for, correct, Paul?
Correct. But when we put the order in, you have to put the order in as part of the purchase, as part of number of units times the unit price.
Okay. Some lively discussion. Let's hope that we move forward with this proposed plan. All right, Daniel, you have your marching orders for that, so let's move on to the next item on the agenda.
Okay. Item number 10, Alejandro Reagan City Tri-Racing requests the use of Beasley's Point Boat Ramp parking lot for a Tuckahoe Triathlon event on August 11th, 2013.
Last year, we looked at this in May or April. We looked at it very early. We're less than a month away now.
We have been waiting on paperwork to come in that's been coming in.
I mean, this thing, if we're going to continue to do this, we need to step it up a notch, because here we are, now we've rented the boat ramp where we have passes out there. We should have known this while we were selling the boat passes.
Well, this is always, we've had this every year, and that was part of the contention last year.
Yes.
Worried about the impact it was going to have on people using the boat.
Well, the other issue was for them to get their documentation, and I think what Barbara's suggesting is that before she brought it to us, where we found flaws with it.
It still isn't complete to date, to be honest with you. And also, I noted when I reviewed the application, it's not just the parking lot at the beach area. They also are using the township roads, so that has to reflect that as well. There also is a discrepancy, I think, on the time. They have 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., but their schedule says the event's over by 11, but they clean up through 1. If they're using the parking lot, obviously, there's got to be signs out there for the boat ramp folks.
She did verbally confirm that she would be done at 12, but we have not had that application revised at this point.
Also, there's an application that says they plan to engage Upper Township EMS and mutual ambulance service. They didn't do that last year with Upper EMS, am I correct? You did not get contracted? You got contracted? I thought that didn't happen. Prior year you were as well? No? Last year we did. Okay. Prior year you did? Okay.
The other thing is it's an estimate of 350 participants, and in the past you've limited it.
What did we limit it to last year?
I think, I don't know if it's 300 or 350, but you did limit it, and that's the problem. Because if it gets overbearing and too much, the roads can't handle it, and it's too big of an event.
Also, they talk about the Woodbine Police Department, that has nothing to do with the Woodbine Police Department. We have the New Jersey State Police do our protection here. If you want to go on, we've had, over the years, now last year was probably a pretty good year. I don't recall they cleaned up the event pretty good. That obviously needs to continue. It has been an issue in the past with the residents of Harbor Road and the parking and the traffic and the whole line of ours. And volunteers that they have that don't know where the turnaround is. So,
This year it is the same as last year, which I believe is at the Sea-Doo. So they're really just using the parking lot, as I understand it. So there will be congestion there, but there won't be an event there.
and
I think they need to understand that Harbor Road's...
Was year before.
Was there a problem last year as well?
No.
Okay.
Harbor Road has no parking sign.
Well, that's not that section that they're going to be at, but they need to understand they can't park on Harbor Road because it's by permit now. So the clerk's office, if I understand Barbara correctly, the frustration is how slow the information comes in.
Yes.
And they have the same concern about the timing of it that
I mean, here we are at the 11th hour.
yes. I mean, frankly, it's not approved yet, and I'm sure it's being marketed.
And we are still waiting for her to coordinate with the rescue squad for their services.
If this is, I mean, we've had an event in the past, and right now I'm willing to go along with it. I'll tell you, if next year it doesn't come in earlier, I'm going to sit here and vote no.
Right, well, obviously, nothing's going to move forward until we have all the paperwork. But in some ways, it is an attraction, it is an opportunity to bring in, other interested parties from outside the area to get to know Upper Township a little bit. So
It is being marketed without being approved. It needs to be approved before it's marketed.
I realize that, Curtis, but in the past, they've come through with the documentation they need, and, I would hate for us not to move forward with this based on the success that it has been. And listen, part of our job here is to try and create some outside interest in the township, and hopefully from that will come some retail or commercial opportunities for people that haven't been to the area, they see the area, and, on one hand, we're trying to work and develop the town center, and part of that is having individuals that come through the township and see what the township has to offer and realize that it could be a very viable location to have a business.
On the other hand, it's also our responsibility to provide for public safety of our residents and visitors as well.
I realize that, but there wasn't an issue last year.
And that's why I'm willing to go along with it this year. But here we are less than 30 days counting down to this thing, and we're getting approvals. Next year, I'm just warning them, I'm willing to go for it this year. Fair warning, next year, you need to be 120 days out.
Well, we have to revisit our rules and regulations
30 days
actually to
required.
make that requirement. That's all you can do.
It is required at this time that all the approvals and all the paperwork be submitted to me 30 days in advance.
We might need to push that
And
forward,
we're,
in the future.
Because, here's a product that's being marketed without approval. They start marketing this, I gotta leave more than 30 days in advance.
So I would think that they've done enough to have a list to keep, all this stuff has to be in place, so. Like I said, I don't have a problem, they've taken our recommendations and moved forward with us over the years,
Yes.
and done a better job.
I think it's improved over time, but we just gotta get a little fine tuned.
And moving forward, I think that
So Barbara, what's the checklist that you need at this point?
right now, at this point, we are waiting, as I said, for Alejandra to coordinate with the rescue squad to get their approval and get obtain their services.
Do we have to do
So-
this by resolution, Dan?
Yes,
And also,
because a number of participants at Township Committee has to approve it.
So here we are, we can't even approve it now, we have to make a recommendation, have it on the next meeting.
It's got to be by resolution.
So at this point, I guess I'll give you guys direction.
We brought it to you early just so you're aware of it because of the 30-day problem and the fact that it'll be on the 11th hour when you're approving it.
Yeah. Well, I'll make a motion, we have a resolution at our next meeting, can see if all the paperwork's in order. If the paperwork's not in order, it's on that.
Second.
And just for the record, there is still a few days till we get to 30 days, so. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr,
Yes.
Mr. Corson,
Yes.
Mr. Insera,
Yes.
Mr. Newman,
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo,
Yes.
motion is carried.
Next meeting, though.
I don't disagree with you on that.
Now, let me ask you this question. They have to reach out to the rescue squad, right?
Yes.
How about the New Jersey State Police? Have they done
They-
that?
Yes, they have done
They've already
that.
done that.
I do need a corrected application with the correct time frame.
There is correspondence from the state police.
Yes.
In fact, I
That's in your
believe they're
packet.
entering into an agreement with the state police to provide manpower.
Yes.
So if they can somehow get the paperwork done in 3 days, then they've met the requirement anyway, so.
Okay, and then during that time frame, obviously, the parking lot area will be closed, is that correct? Be closed off to the,
But I would suggest that we put up some signs at least 2 weeks in advance, Paul, please, making the individuals that use the boat ramp aware of the fact that from, 8 a.m. or till 12 noon or something, that, it won't be available to them.
It's 6 a.m.
Well, 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., 12 noon.
Okay.
We can throw some signs up a couple weeks before so that people that usually use the parking lot to park their trailers and boats will be aware of it.
But if they get there before 6 a.m., they win.
He always has something. All right, let's go to the next item.
Okay. Item number 11, Joey and Joe Beck request for redemption and installments of municipal lien for Block 382, Lot 6 at 1840 Route 50 in Tuckahoe.
We have this is a direction again to put it on a future resolution, a resolution on a future meeting. If you can see from the correspondence from our tax collector that they received a request. This is a municipal tax lien certificate that was purchased by the township, and there's outstanding taxes, obviously, and they asked to be able to pay it in installments.
So the idea is to pay what they owe in the past, but continue to be current with the existing tax.
Yes, that's a separate issue. They have to be current and existing, otherwise we'll sell a lien for that. The question before the committee is, do you want to do that, and is it compounded interest that would be applied? The difference is, if you don't compound the interest, the lien amount is $16,814.58, and if you do compound it, it's $21,884.04. The statute allows you to compound the interest.
What's, well, we bought the tax lien versus somebody in the public.
Yes.
What do we charge for delinquent taxes? We not had it for delinquent taxes? You put just like the pay it in?
I believe.
Yes.
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 So we should compound
It
it.
is.
Just, we need direction. If that's the case, then I'll bring it to the resolution for the next meeting.
Well, I mean, we have to follow, I think, it sounds to me that the Township Committee is certainly willing to work and spread out those payments that they're behind it. But, in fairness to those that, maybe, one tax period behind and they have interest on that, they're paying the interest. So, I think we have to be consistent here.
I would pass an ordinance every year, or a resolution every year, or an organization on like taxes.
So if I understand the sense of the committee, we do a resolution authorizing the request but compounding the interest. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 12, purchase of street signs.
That was the item.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Then I hereby move that all claims submitted for payment at this meeting be approved and incorporated in full in the minutes of this meeting.
Okay. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Right, there are a number of municipal department reports: Construction Code, Division of EMS, Tax Collector, Tax Assessor, Finance Office, MUA report, and Department of Public Works. They will be available tomorrow upon request at the clerk's office, but I would like to make a motion to accept these reports.
Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Okay, at this time, we'll open it up. If there's any public comment, I would ask those that so choose to address the Township Committee to come up, state your name, state your address, and then you can state your question or purpose.
Rob Evans, 2C Sounds Ave. I sent you the email. I just want to thank you for your prompt replies, and hopefully between the state and Township, hopefully we can come to some sort of solution to the issue that's going on in my vicinity.
No, and you know what, we certainly take that concern very seriously, and, as I stated on my reply to you for the email, unfortunately, sometimes, it moves at a slower pace than what we would like if it was a township road, but we are at the mercy of the state because it is their highway. But we will certainly take every area and opportunity that we can. And in fact, usually, just so you have some idea of how the process works, when the resolution comes before the Township Committee at the next meeting, and if it's passed, which I basically feel that it will based on the consensus that we had, on tonight's discussion, we'll normally send that to the state legislators as well as the NJTOT and anyone else that, would have an opportunity to address it, so that we have all kind of factions going at it at the same time.
And it is an election year for them, so they'll get on it.
Great. Thank you again.
Hobie, 208 Route 50, sorry, my voice is little. Reading for tonight, just a couple of issues that I want to address. First of all, on the areas like C-Sound and other intersections in the township, even though a lot of them are on state and county roads, as you ride around the township, a lot of the site triangles are blocked with vegetation. It's a major issue in this township, and one that's really bad is Route 50 and 610. With the allowance for us to make right-hand turns now, I think that's where a lot of the accidents are coming from on those issues. I know 2 or 3 times I've been coming through and somebody can't see you with that hedgerow, and they're making a right-hand turn as you're coming through the intersection. I don't know if the township can send a letter to the state. There is an ordinance state-wise and municipality-wise that you can't even go around 3 feet in the site triangle to open them up. And I said, you know, there's many of them that are overgrown. That's the first place we should start.
We brought that up last meeting, and we identified several intersections at the last meeting, and several of them since were brought to the zoning officer. The zoning officer, by ordinance, is to direct the property owner first, and then go to the township Public Works, and once they clean it up or take care of the triangle, then they are to, if the property owner refuses to do it, they are to put a lien on the property and just do it.
Okay.
Because that's the homeowner's responsibility.
Even with the wildlife, like of course, in 50, if that woods was cut back another 20 feet to open that site triangle up, we wouldn't be getting, you know, the tail end hits up there or the misses we're getting right now. You know, you can see it if you're heading towards Wawa, and I know the curve you travel every day like I do. If they're up beyond the curve, you're fine. If they're back beyond the curve, they're
Actually,
fine.
I don't think there's been any.
I've
seen a couple of your misses.
I've seen it, but before we get somebody, you know,
Not like
really injured,
huge improvement.
it's a big improvement. I'm all for it.
I'm saying, should the shoulder be cleared? Yes.
Absolutely.
But the problem is there with the shoulder, they've actually cleared all the right of way. Everything else is not in the right of way. So there's really nothing the state order us can do about it.
Okay, that was my question.
But that's what you said. Maybe the speed limit needs to be revisited. I mean, when you're coming up, there's a red signal, it's flashing red signal ahead. I mean, do people actually read it? I mean,
No, you see it.
Something, that was just, you know, something for consideration. I think we need to get around and move.
we've actually trimmed everything there that can be trimmed has been trimmed.
Okay.
Is it a perfect situation now? Is it a lot better than it was 2 years ago?
Absolutely. 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 Another question I had, and Dan, you'll probably have to answer this. With the COA housing funds, can that money be applied towards purchasing properties by the township to rent back as affordable housing? I'm thinking like the Coast Guard housing that's up for sale. I mean, we're giving it to people, you know, to offset mortgages and
I'm going to defer to Paul. It can be done, but I don't believe we have a program in place to do it yet.
We don't have a program in place, but we do have, as part of our spending plan, that is one of the it's called a market to affordable program, that the township, that is a program that we've identified in our fair share plan that we could do. It's just a matter of coming up with the program and really starting to set aside those funds to start the program.
Actually, that's a very good property. Actually, I did talk to Paul Dietrich about that property. The problem is that property, it's probably, what was it, 9 units there?
Yeah, I think so.
It's a $1.3 million rateable. The minute it's sold, it goes back on the tax rolls. So, that being said, it's not paying taxes today. August 1st or 7th, when that's sold, it's a $1.3 million tax.
You know, we're trying to incorporate certain things in the township now, like with the mobile home parks, which is going to cost us. If there's ways that we can purchase these and charge a feasible rent on them, we also bring it back into the tax.
Well, you can't, the problem with the COA housing is if we agree upon a certain price, you still have to stay at a lower level to rent them. And so the problem is with us is to invest in something like that. You know, I'm not sure that we would come to a break-even kind of situation.
It would probably be a loss after you put $1,200 a month.
What
a bigger loss with the mobile home parks.
Well, what we have looked in.
Your school district, you can't tax the structure.
Well, what we have looked into is partnering, like identifying a land area that the township owns, and partnering with both the developer and usually it's a religious group. That it's a three-way partnership that the HUD program comes in and they invest and they incorporate a lot of federal dollars to do that. And that's something that we have looked at as a way of obtaining the affordable housing and not really making a financial investment other than the property that's owned. And it'll be something where you would never relinquish the right of the property. It's a leased kind of situation.
Again, I'm just, seeing where we're going in the state, we don't know what the state's going to do with COVID this time.
The last time they had a proposal.
The measures we've taken here, but I think we also have to look at, the consequences of those measures, and if there's any way we can minimize the impact, we have to take all, what we can look at.
To give you an example, Hope, it's such a state of flux that a year or two ago, we had a 400-unit requirement, but a year later, about a year or so ago, we actually complied because they gave us credit for our mobile home parks because they are low-income units, the ones that we already have.
Right.
So we're not really even sure when this ends up getting resolved through the courts and the legislature what our requirements are going to be. What our situation is right now is that we're protected because we have a plan and because we've done what we've done, we protected against those remedies.
Beyond and forward for the future because of the tax burden that's going to do if it ever does go into effect.
Well, I would agree with you, but it's our hope, and as Dan stated, now unfortunately it was vetoed, but we were at one point we would have received credit for everything that exists here, and I will say that the township is very diverse already. I mean, we've approved trailer parks, we've approved campgrounds, we've approved things that a lot of the municipalities don't have. And yet, in the past, we weren't able to obtain credit for it. And so, partly because they were pre-existing and partly because it didn't meet their new criteria that they had put in place, because there were different phases that were put in place. But if this is resolved, we're cautiously optimistic that we might not have any requirement.
It's a moot issue and
right.
no problem.
Right.
It does raise a question, if this is resolved, do the mobile home parks that have got their preliminary approvals already, do they lose the housing units that put kids into the school district?
They're approved at what they're approved at. If they want to come back to the planning board and change their proposals, that's up to them.
20 units, if you have one kid per year going to school, that's $15,000 a year. That's $300,000 right there that you can't tax for.
Chances are, if the township meets the requirement, if somebody comes in and has a preliminary approval, they obviously can make more money the other way.
Sure.
They're going to go back. They're going back.
I understand the stopgap measures, Kirk. I just want to make sure that we're going forward, and really looking for ways maybe to not have that happen if possible. Besides that, I have a question on the trash cans. Again, if I want to get 2 30s instead of a 90, do I have to buy the second 30 for my trash? It's a question that was asked.
We're still evaluating that program, but there's going to be a likelihood that we're going to say, no, you got to get the 90.
Now, when we talked about this at public meetings before, it was going to be an option, not a demand.
For one. But if you want additional cans, that's not.
I understand. I have a chronic back. If I can't pull that 90, 280 feet down my driveway, do I have to pay for 2 30s?
No.
Well, you have to pay.
Something that's going to come up.
Well, no, but you have to understand one thing. The township's willing to provide 2 containers, one for recyclable and one for trash. Okay, and if you choose to take the 95-gallon one, so be it. If you choose to take the 65, If you want an additional 65, you'll pay for that. We're going to supply 2 containers, okay? And if you so choose to go to a smaller container, but you feel you may need an additional container, that you'll be responsible for. We're willing to commit to 2 trash cans per household, 1 for recyclable and 1 for trash.
And it raises the question too, as far as replenishment, if they're damaged, is that all built into your estimate, Paul, as far as
Yes.
the cans you need? Or?
Yes.
We were going to have, I don't know how much, a percentage of them extra up in the public works garage.
Okay.
If somebody
And I guess
screams off the road, plows into one, and he tows it, obviously it's going to be replaced at the township's cost.
or snowplow damage or whatever the reason will be then. And that was a question I had a lot of people asking me. You know, I have one request, and I talked to Paul about it, is to deal with Amanda's Field.
We're working on those
On the
items that we
goalposts.
discussed. Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
And just so we can get them as far away from the road as we can get them. They were fine when they were.
Yeah.
And we're like 30 feet closer to the roadway now.
It's a
And
work.
everything that goes on in Amanda's Field happens between the sidelines and the fence, not on the outside side of the field. So
It's a scheduled item for the summer.
I just wanted to get on that, you know, so we know where we're at. Thank you.
Okay. Would anyone else like to address the Township Committee?
Alejandra Reagan. I live in 18 East 21st Street in Brooklyn, New York. I submitted a proposal to Barbara to organize a surfing camp in Strathmere, and I was informed that I need to have the insurance certificate before it is even included in the agenda. My question is, can I submit a sample? Because the insurance certificate will cost at least $1,500 if I go ahead and purchase that, and I have no idea if my camp will be approved or not.
Well, when is this proposed to be done anyway? Because you also have to work with the lifeguards, because part of the issue is we have guarded beaches.
Yes.
And, you know, are you going to propose to have this during the day? And, you know.
Yes, during the day. I have met already with Bill Handley, the captain, and he sent Barbara an email.
And the date is this month,
Excuse me?
correct? The date that you proposed in your email was this month?
Yes,
the
I
end of
understand
July.
that it's last minute, but even if I submit this for next summer, I still have to invest $1,500 in an insurance certificate, and I have no idea if you're open to even organize this camp, and then I will lose the money. Because
What kind of camp is it?
Surfing
camp.
Surfing camp.
Well, I don't have, I mean, like, I don't have a problem now. I think because it's going to keep kids busy, keep them out of trouble, and but then again, you have to have the paperwork. I mean, here,
Yes.
we can't do something.
My provider, the provider has said that they will give me the sample of what exactly will be said before I actually.
Actual certificate.
From a review point of view, I really don't think there's a problem if they provide a specimen that the risk management consultant could review and approve, and obviously she would not be authorized to conduct a camp until the actual certificate is.
She wants to make sure that it will be approved.
Yeah, that is a minor issue. There might be more significant issues once the lifeguard captain has reviewed it and commented, so.
Yes, I'm aware. So
The application has not been received. I received an email stating that she was proposing this particular surf camp, and at that time, she was informed of the requirements, which she's well aware of, from the City Tri-event. It would be the same requirements, all the documentation
Yeah.
would be the same as what was required for the City Tri-event.
Yeah, the only issue here is, as I said, me having to purchase this certificate before it is even discussed or reviewed. So, I mean, I just...
Well, you heard what Mr. Young said, right? Mr. Young said that we could be amenable to some affidavit that says that, you know, this is what you'll be purchasing and this is what will be covered, but before you can, you know, and we can base our decision on acceptance with that, But before anything can be done, obviously, we have to have the actual insurance policy, so.
Exactly. Okay, that's great.
All right?
Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Cameron Heil. I'm with Railroad Pacific. We were one of the bidders for the trash cans. We're not the lowest bidder. And I know that Paul and everybody here has done such a good job at done their due diligence on looking at everything. But I'm here to tell you what the difference is between the lowest bidder and my company, Railroad Pacific. Because I think we have some qualities that should be respectfully request you to consider before you make a decision. This is a big decision. As you've seen, trash is pretty personal to each individual and to cities. My company's been around for 100 years. We've worked with countless municipalities in various sizes to help them not just roll out carts for their trash, but also help them roll out a program for their recycling and their trash collection. We look at this as a long-term partnership, and I believe that the city's intent is eventually, based on those bid specifications, would be to track recycling and tipping rates to basically increase recycling in the township for various reasons, whether it be for DEP credits or grants. I know that the Cape May Utilities Authority, they also give grants for increased recycling and tonnage. So tracking those rates are really important. It's more than just a cart going out in front of someone's house. You're investing in technology. You have an RFID tag that's inside of the lid pin of each of those containers. That serial number is associated with that, and so is the barcode on the front of it. It's our belief that that has to be considered as part of the project. It's an intangible cost to the city. I mean, we have an assembly and distribution, so does everyone else. But there's pieces to that that have to do with technology I think you should consider before making a decision based on the lowest bid. After reviewing the bid specifications and also the bid and the lowest bidders and highest bidders and what everybody proposed, Railroad Pacific is only $8,627 more expensive than the lowest bidder. And that's when you include our 1% 10-day term, which was considered for the lowest bidder, and ours was not calculated when we got our bid specification or when we got the results back. So one of the first reasons is that the lowest bidder doesn't meet the specifications. They are offering a 5/8 axle, and we are offering a 7/8 axle. The requirement is 3/4 of an inch. The reason that's important is because during the rigors of trash collection, those cans are joggled upside down, and they use that axle to hold the can in place. And the thinner the axle, the less durable it's going to be. This gentleman behind me mentioned, who's repairing these? Local municipalities are repairing these. That's a cost for your public resources. So you want something that's going to be durable. We think that's really important.
You said yours are 7/8?
Yes, ours are 7/8.
And the one we are looking at is, the low bidder was 5/8?
Mm-hmm.
And we spec the 3/4?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Another interesting thing that I pulled, from our competitor is that they do not typically calculate this on 100% virgin resin. That's something that we do. We calculate our costs based on 100% virgin resin. That means we're not using recycled content in our containers. So the city requested that we use 100%. We can use recycled too, but the city requested 100% virgin resin. I know that our competitors do not use 100% virgin resin. In fact, on their brochure, it's up to 50% recycled material. It's on their brochure on the web for everyone to see.
Is that a bad thing?
It can definitely impact the mechanical and physical properties of the plastic, absolutely. When you introduce recycled material, you're looking at shrinking polymers, things like that could affect, in cold weather situations, could make your container brittle. I'm not saying that it's a definite going to happen.
I mean, I guess my question to you would be, the existing containers that we're buying 10 years for 20 years from now, whatever the lifespan is, I would hope they'd be able to be recycled and used again for something else. I mean, that's what we're here for. That's why we recycle in the first place.
Absolutely. And Railroad Pacific actually closes the loop. We We have a recycling facility,
So-
a logistic, we make other products.
So I guess what I'm saying is it's not necessarily a bad thing that they use recyclable plastic or whatever into their container.
Well,
It's not,
but we
for
expect
durability
recycling.
reasons,
And if she did recycle plastic, we would probably have,
we may have been closer. So if we're getting the cost of 50% recycled resin, it's a lot less than 100% virgin resin. So I'm buying it secondhand. So not only am I, if you're doing that, you're not in spec, first of all, but second of all, the cart durability and properties change when you introduce regress, which is recycled resin. And I'm not saying that we never use it, but at a certain percentage, the reason the city wants the 100% is because a certain percentage you do see mechanical problems and problems with durability. And again, that's a cost that the city is incurring. Either buying a new container because it broke, because it gets brittle during the winter months. When you're using an automated system, I mean, it's pretty
aggressive.
Yeah, it is. It's an aggressive system, and you're working with a trash truck driver who's trying to get as much as he can in a short amount of time. It's just something to consider. Like I said, it's something to consider. And another piece of this is the cart delivery aspect to what you're asking is very important, and not only the cart manufacturer who delivers the containers, it's an extension of the township. You clearly have high regards for the township of Upper, and we want to represent the township when we go out and deliver carts. We are the only manufacturer that we know of that has their own assembly and distribution crews. So we are hiring very specific employees. So you're hiring us to do your job. We're going out to work with our own supervisors, our own crew on the back of those fake trucks. So yes, we do care if they fall off, because we're paying their medical. That's something to consider, that in a lot of cases, when you go out to someone who does not have crews or supervisors that are from the company that is providing the service or the carts, you're in charge of having supervisors and people that can make decisions. You have to provide those people to supervise this distribution, make sure everything goes correctly, that all switches or on-the-fly decisions are made. So sometimes we do rollouts like this with 4 crews. So that's 4 supervisors that the city may have to provide. Now that's not a cost that's in here because we build it into our cost. So we're a little bit more expensive. And that's, you want that support when you're going out into the field to deliver these carts, especially in your neighborhoods, You want to know who's there. The other thing is that the township receives a RET audit at no additional cost to the city. So when we go out, we are assigning those 3 items, the serial number, the barcode, and the RFID tag to each individual address. That data belongs to you. So that in the future, when you want to use that data to put it into tracking software or something of that nature, however you decide to do your maintenance, work orders, whatever, that data belongs to you. So
do you have I didn't mean to interrupt, but the RFID, that's a chip that's on that container?
Yes, sir. It's in the lid pin. So you pop out the lid. There's a little piece. It looks like a piece of paper with a little metal squiggly on it, and that's called it's a radio frequency identifier.
Well, I'm very familiar with it. I'm a farmer. So we use it in pharmaceuticals all the time. So.
Perfect.
Does the whole bit have the same thing, Paul?
All the
All of them
containers
have.
All of them.
All of them have the RFID tags, and that's not what the question is. You want to make sure that you're associating these correctly to each address, and the most accurately, because you're buying this data anyway, right? I mean, it's all part of that cost. So if you're associating the RFID tag reading, it's great when you're on a truck because you're in a truck system and it's only looking at one can. It's reading that one can. It has a 6-foot radius. There's no other cans around that item once you're reading it and tracking it. But to associate it, you're dealing with a stake truck behind a guy with a scanner, and you have a cart in front of you and a cart next to you and a cart next to you over here. There's a 4 to 6 foot radius on each of those readers. Our company does not use an RFID reader to associate to an address. Our company uses an optical barcode scanner, so there's no possibility of inaccuracy. You go up to the can and you are optically saying this goes with this address. It comes on a handheld scanner. We upload all of our addresses into the scanner, hand them to the crews. They go to each individual address and scan each can at each address. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with the term shit in, shit out. That is kind of what this is. If you are getting a database and you want to use it for maintenance and work orders, you want that to be the most accurate database possible. And we offer that, and our competitors do not. So for an $8,000 difference, we're offering that value, and it's something that's not a tangible item. So it's hard to express the value when you're just looking at the price of delivery. So that's kind of why I'm here today, just to let you know that there is some differences regardless of, you know, if we're just looking at a cart, maybe there's not as big a difference. But if you're looking at a long-term solution and a long-term effect, Bird Pacific is positioned to help you long-term. We also develop our own software and our own tracking system and our own readers. We do not outsource this. So if there is, and there will be problems with software, readers, things happening, people need help with things, it is a streamlined system to call one company to have help with navigating software systems that are new, navigating work order systems that are new. It is a luxury to be able to call one person instead of the finger pointing game where they have the software, we have the carts, they have this, they have that. So streamlining that process is important to the city. If your intent is eventually to go with tracking, and I believe it is based on the specifications of the RFID tag, the serial numbers, and everything. So I think that those are some items that we'd like you to consider when you're making this decision. In fact, we're glad you're not making this resolution because I do want you to look at the video that I sent to you. I sent a link to you all like last Friday late in the afternoon when we got the bid results from Barbara. So I just want to make sure I know. In addition, I wanted to just mention that in the bid specifications, the township did not take into consideration resin weight. And resin weight is an indicator of the durability and quality of each cart. We at Bird Pacific use the highest resin content and resin weight in our cart system, in our carts. What that means is our walls are thicker, our stress points are also more durable and thicker. Resin is the driving factor of the cost. So when we are considering an assembled weight of a cart, if you use heavier wheels, it looks like your cart's heavier. It's not. You really have to look at the resin weight in order to decide whether that's going to be durable or not durable. So I think that that's something that we would have hoped was considered. It was not considered. I think everybody's going to have exceptions, but that's definitely one that's indicative of quality and durability. And again, if you guys are paying for that cost of maintenance, something that you might want to consider when you're making this decision. Because it is a big decision. It's a 20-year commitment. You know, I mean, these carts last a long time. There's 10-year warranty, but we have some in the field that are all 20, 25 years old. So it's just.
Well, we'll take under consideration. You know, we have a resolution, but to be honest with you, we have we've had some testimony tonight that based on some of the issues that there really wasn't anything substantial that would eliminate somebody from the bidding process. Is that correct?
Well, I'd like to clarify two things. Is it your company's position that the lowest bidder didn't meet the specs with respect to the recycled resin and the axle diameter? That's basically right. The resin weight was something that was not in the specs that you. Okay. So basically, what you're asking us, if I can boil this down correctly, is to consider recycled resin and axle diameter as material, and therefore, because they're material and you meet them, are you the next lowest bidder at that point?
We're not.
We can't. If those are the only reasons, and even if they were material, under the law, we have to go with the lowest bidder.
Even if they don't meet the minimum specifications?
If they're not material, if the deviations are not considered not material, and our township engineer has already reviewed it and considered that those, I'll let him speak to those.
We looked at the axles, and they were for the smaller carts, not for the 95-gallon containers. My understanding, he did not list an exception for the recycled material and resin. So my understanding is he's supplying 100% virgin resin.
Okay.
So you're saying on these big carts, they have the three-quarter axle?
Correct.
So you understand, and I don't know how much business you've done with New Jersey municipalities, but in our state, we have to take the lowest responsible bidder. We can, obviously, you saw the way the specs say, do you meet the specification, do you not? You can do equal. So that analysis has to be done. If it was material, in other words, it made a substantial difference and it goes to the heart of the specifications, that is a reason to go over the lowest bidder to the next lowest bidder, not to jump over 5 and say I can go to the highest one because I think they're better. Unfortunately, their hands are tied under New Jersey law. That's
My public
bidding.
question is, I know that, New Jersey is, I haven't done a lot of business in New Jersey. In fact, I haven't done a lot of business in anywhere. I just started in January. So.
That's a good job.
Thanks. I'm a little nervous. This is my first meeting, so.
You're doing fine.
Thanks. We do work with other states, and I know that New Jersey is at this point, and forgive me if I'm wrong, is allowed to go off of other people's contracts or state contracts.
State contract.
If you're allowed, if you see value in something, as far as if you are in fact going to do some kind of tracking software data, if you see a value in something, this is just me asking a question, I don't really know. If it's not the lowest bidder, but there is some kind of monetary value that,
When you talk about software, that may be construed as a professional service, and that has different bidding rules and different contract rules. That is not necessarily price-oriented, but a standard product is.
Okay.
Okay?
How do you guys classify assembly and distribution? That's really a product. I mean, that's what I'm kind of
Well, it was connected with the product in this set of bids, so it's publicly bid.
Right.
Our bids included that.
Okay. I just, in your consideration, I think you should look into how they're distributed.
Thank you.
It's our experience that it works.
All I know is we don't want to do it.
I know. It's all right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Does anyone else like to address the Township Committee?
Hall 54 East Maple Lane, East Point. My question in regard to affordable housing. I noticed the law that states that we have to have so many units. Is there a particular number of units that we have to have?
Well, again, that is a very up in the air, arbitrary question at this point, because originally, probably if you asked that question 2 years ago, we would have felt pretty confident telling you that it appears that we owe almost like 400 in some units.
It's actually, it was well over 600.
Okay, but based on some recent legislative, proposed legislative that really hasn't been passed, we went from a large number to almost, no number, having no requirements, because they were taken into consideration prior dwellings that we had in the township already. In the past, that hadn't been the case. So as this is being fought not only through the courts and through the legislature, but then also ultimately it's up to the governor to sign some of this legislation, because it's my understanding that last year he vetoed the legislation that would have given us a zero. And that's not to say it was right or wrong. I guess they were just uncomfortable the way it was, worded or whatever. We're kind of up in the air, but that doesn't take away our requirement at this point to pursue it, because our COA plan has a dual function. One is, by having a plan in place, it prevents us from having a builder's remedy suit where someone comes in and just develops and says, you know what, you can't stop me, I'll take it to court. And in fact, that happened to us at one point, and we fought it and we were successful in winning. But part of what the judge told us was, you better put a plan in place and have it in place and approved by the state, or else the next time you may not be so successful. And so we took what was given to us as a standing order, and we moved forward with it, and we have approval by the state. And also, by having that COA approval, some of the other CAFRA permits and things that fall in place that have benefited the township, meaning like ShopRite and some of those other things, proceeded because we had a COA plan in place. So it kind of, we're meeting the state requirement, and we're certainly, trying to stay on the fence in hopes that at some point, this may all go away. But it doesn't stop us from the requirement at this point, proceeding that it's still in place, because we haven't, the requirement to have the COA plan in place and the requirement to move forward and have some of these, and we just heard that there's now a commercial builders fund that has to be put in place that we have to collect. You know, we still have those requirements, and so therefore we're not negligent to the existing statute that we're required by. But we hope that at some point it may well go away, and if it does, that's great news for this township. Anyone else at this point? Well, again, thank you for your public comments. We appreciate them, and we'll make a motion to move out of public portion of the meeting, and I'll ask Mr. Newman to read a statement.
I hereby move the resolution to be incorporated into the minutes authorized by the Township Committee to enter an executive session for the following matters pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. Number 1, contract negotiations, Gibson Associates. Number 2, potential litigation, Development Company Performance Fund. Number 3, litigation, Upper Township versus Yankee San Son. Also include my motion, the estimated time and the circumstances under which the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public's files. A, it is anticipated the matters discussed in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Committee that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. B, with respect to contract negotiations, such matters will be made public when negotiations have ceased and there is no longer a reason for confidentiality. And C, with respect to litigation matters, such discussion will be made public when litigation is complete and the applicable appeal period has expired. Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you all. Have a great evening and a great week.